Welcome into those of you watching the third round of the RBC Heritage on CBS Sports app, CBS Sports All Access, and on CBSSports.com. Holy moving day, Batman. Let's take a look at how round 3 went down in South Carolina. Moving day indeed. First day of summer, stay hot, kids. Golfers who went out early, taking advantage of great conditions. This is Joaquin Niemann on 16 for birdie. Buries it. 21-year-old shoots a 63, moves to 13 under. Career low for him, up 37 spots on the leaderboard. Chris Stroud, also on 16 for bird. Putting with precision, also up 37 spots on the leaderboard. He shoots a 63, moves to 13 under. Daniel Berger won the Charles Schwab Challenge last week. Also on 16, his second shot of the par 4. Oh, put a snuggie on that. Snuggles it up nice and close. He also cards a 63. 6 players shot a 63 on Saturday. You get an 8 under 63, and you get an 8 under 63. Tyrrell Hatton, part of that too. Looking for his 3rd win in his last 5 starts. Approach is pretty good. Knocked it in for bird. Moves to 14 under. Then on 18, Hatton from 24 feet away. Got it. Hatton goes into the clubhouse 15 under after shooting a 63 as well. Coming off a missed cut at the Charles Schwab is Ryan Palmer. Looking to stay in the mix here on 12 from buck 36. Puts it to in 7 feet. He would convert for the birdie. Moves to 14 under. Now on 15. 3rd shot. Another great approach from 96 yards out. Inside 3 feet. Tap that in for birdie. Palmer moves to 15 under. Part of a 4-way tie for first. Speaking of leaders, Abraham Answer from a buck 85 puts it pin high. I mean, talk about the scoring conditions at Harbor Town. Stay hot, kids. Answer to 13 under. On 15, Answer just off the green. Give me another birdie. Give me another birdie. He would move to 14 under. Now on 16. 2nd shot from 107 yards out. Golf fans, you'll love this shot. Within 6 feet. He moves to 15 under. Again, in a tie for the lead. Now Webb Simpson, the solo leader entering the day, 12 under. Webb Simpson also the pick to win the tournament by Rick Gaiman, Sportsline data scientist. He looks smart. Webb Simpson looks smart. He looks good. From inside 12 feet, rolls that in. Gets to 14 under. Then on 15, from 270. Goes over the trees. Didn't look good there, though. He gets on in 2. He 2-putt for his birdie. So it's okay. You make a mistake, and you're fine. No mistakes. Webb Simpson, clean. Moves to 15 under in a 4-way tie for first. Look at all of the 8s on the leaderboard. Tyrrell Hatton, 8 under. Carlos Ortiz, 8 under 63. Daniel Berger, 8 under 63. Joel Damon, 8 under 63. Joaquin Niemann, 8 under 63. Chris Stroud, 8 under 63. It is an RBC tournament record for one round with 6 golfers shooting an 8 under 63. Incredible. And for more, let's welcome in CBS Sports golf analyst Kyle Porter and Sportsline data scientist Rick Gaiman, 2 of the 4 voices that make up the First Cut podcast. Moving day indeed. An RBC Heritage tournament record is 6 golfers shoot an 8 under 63, including Tyrrell Hatton, who's in a 4-way tie for first at 15 under. Kyle, your reaction is what when you see the leaderboard this stacked?
Well, my reaction is that Sunday is going to be impossible to predict after what we saw on Saturday. It was the lowest scoring average of any of the 3 rounds this week. And now, you know, this is a tournament that's existed for 50 years. And we've got far more players in double digits under par going into the weekend than we've ever had before. I mean, there's 35 guys double digits under par, which means there's 35 guys within 5 strokes of the lead. And you've got some huge names in there. Sergio Garcia, Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, chasing all of these leaders at the top. It's going to be a wild Sunday. We thought last Sunday was wild, and it was for the most part. But I just, I know we have. I think Webb is probably going to be the favorite going into Sunday, but I have absolutely no clue what's going to happen.
21 guys within 3 shots of the lead, gentlemen. And for an event like the RBC Heritage, where for the last 7 years, the winner has come from multiple strokes back on Sunday, means that this entire field is wide open. What I do know, looking towards the final round, is someone's going to have to go out and win this golf tournament. When you're talking about a leaderboard this stacked with scores this low, you're not going to get lucky and have someone falter for you to raise the trophy on Sunday. You're going to have to go out and earn it. So it's going to be fireworks for the final round, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
To add to that, 35 players are at 10 under or better. Eye-popping. 35 players, 10 under or better on the leaderboard. Kyle, why do you think the course is yielding such low numbers?
Yeah, it's a good question. We haven't seen any wind. This is a different course than we see normally when the tournament's played in April. The weather just hasn't been there. It's rained a little bit. We saw it rained on Thursday. And look, it's a short course. And if you're able to play it, if it's not playing as fast and firm and without wind as it kind of normally does, then guys that are long are able to take some chances, to take some opportunities to be as long as possible, and that gives them a lot of birdie opportunities. We've seen that throughout the week. We saw it especially on Saturday. Again, scoring average right around 68, which is basically 3 under par. You go out and shoot 2 under par, you're losing ground to the field, which is crazy to think about at a course like Harbour Town, which usually, like Rick pointed out, yields a winner, around 10, 11, 12, 13 under par. We've got so many guys that have already surpassed that this week. So I think it comes down to weather. I would love it if all the wind that we didn't get in the first 3 days, we got it on Sunday. Let there be carnage, and may the best man win.
I love it. It's going to be awesome. Rick, of the 6 golfers to card a 63 on Saturday, who has the strongest staying power on Sunday?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's so many great, compelling storylines here. Jocko Neiman, trying to get his 2nd win of the season. He won the first event of the year at Greenbrier. He played in the President's Cup. And what I think is most interesting about his round is he gained 6 strokes on approach. It was by far the best single round of his career with his iron. So that is usually a stat that I look forward to as one that can be a little bit sticky, one that can be repeated from round to round. Now, six strokes, a career high, obviously not going to happen again on Sunday. If it does, he's going to run away with this thing. But I like him because he's just kind of this freewheeling 21-year-old with nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I think Tyrrell Hatton is a really interesting guy here. He, on Saturday, he really did it with his putter. He gained, I think it was 6 strokes on the field with his putter, which is not sustainable. He's #1 in the field in strokes gained putting. He said after his round on Saturday that he doesn't even feel comfortable over the ball. But having said all that, he's a really good ball striker. So does it click into place on Sunday, or does the putter go cold and does he fall way back? I think he is going to be one of the most compelling narratives kind of on Sunday. And if it goes bad, we've seen Tyrrell Hatton in the past. He doesn't always handle it great if it starts going south. So I'm really watching him to see how he starts out and how he finishes on Sunday.
Before we get a pick from each of you for Sunday and who's going to win this tournament, give us a name you think could shoot to the tippy top of the leaderboard. Rick, I'll start with you.
I think it's Sergio Garcia. He comes in, he's 13 under par, he's 2 shots off the lead. And guys, the statistical profile of what we're seeing from Sergio right now is incredible. He's leading the field in strokes gained off the tee, 11.5 of them, by the way. And he's in dead last in strokes gained putting of anyone who made the cut. It's unfathomable. He's lost 5 strokes on the greens, still finds a way to shoot 70, 65, 65 in his first 3 rounds. If his putter, we usually say just putt average for a round. When you have a tee to green game like this, just putt like kind of bad, and Sergio Garcia could still be in the contention for tomorrow.
Sergio is a good one. I think I look further down the leaderboard. Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka, both 3 strokes back. Both have played really well this week, and I say that knowing that they hadn't played that well coming into this week. DJ for about the last year, Brooks for about the last 9 months, and I think both of those guys, we've seen them. They can catch fire at any time, right? They can go out. One of them could go out 62, 63, and you wouldn't really be that surprised. So I'm really interested to see that group at around 12 under. Bryson DeChambeau's in that group as well at 12 under, to see if they can make something happen before the leaders make the turn. Maybe post a score at, can they get to 19 under, and maybe even 20 under, post a number and make Webb and all those guys come chase them down.
Before the tournament started, Rick picked Webb Simpson to win the RBC Heritage. Here he is, tied for the lead. You can get him at plus 400 if you want to going into Sunday. Rick, you sticking with Webb?
Oh, certainly. When you have a 30-to-1 ticket before the event starts and your guy's tied for the lead after 54, you certainly don't give up on it. Now, I'll tell you what, that 68 that he shot, 3 under par, as Kyle mentioned, it is basically the field average for today. That was a pretty bad round for Webb Simpson. Dottie Pepper acknowledged this on the telecast, that he was bringing in his caddy, Paul Tesori, to help read a lot of putts. Webb did not look very comfortable on the greens. He did not putt very well. Still shoots a 3 under 68, still atop the leaderboard. I'm certainly excited for him on Sunday.
Yeah, I've got Webb as well. It's not the sexiest pick in the world just because he's kind of been at the top of the leaderboard. You'd love to see Sergio come from behind, or DJ, or Brooks, or Rory, or somebody like that come from deeper down on the leaderboard. But I think Webb is the safest pick here. He knows how to close. He's been really good throughout this week. His tee to green stuff has been solid. I mean, you saw the shot that he hit earlier into the par 5. That was a great shot, and that's a lot of what we saw all day from him. So I really like Webb. I think Webb is one of the 2 or 3 best Americans in the world right now. I don't know if he's getting that sort of respect or that sort of attention, but I think he's the safest and best bet to close out this tournament.
Webb Simpson in a 4-way tie for first. Major value, though, there at plus 400 to take Webb Simpson to win the RBC Heritage. Rick, Kyle, thanks. Appreciate the insight. You want more awesome golf content from Rick and Kyle? Check out the First Cut podcast, also joined by Greg Ducharme and Mark Immelman, delivering tournament previews, picks, deep dives into the players and storylines that matter in the sport of golf. The First Cut podcast, download and subscribe today. All right, let's continue our coverage here on CBS Sports HQ, third round of the RBC Heritage. Bring in another voice. Welcome in CBS Sports golf analyst Doug Bell. Doug, 6 golfers carding 8 under 63. Your reaction is what?
Wow. Unbelievable. I mean, these guys are the best in the world. We know that. But this scoring is just mind-boggling when you consider all the players that are 10 under or better, 35 players. And the record was a couple of years ago when you had 7 after 54 holes that were 10 under or better. So this is really mind-boggling stuff. They are playing it in June instead of April. It's a different golf course, obviously much easier, less wind. And when you give these great players soft greens and perfect putting surfaces and no breezes, they're going to absolutely eat it up. So keep in mind tomorrow, when the leaders go out, and there's a whole bunch of them, a bogey will really set you back 2 shots as opposed to just 1, because you got to have a clean card as well as a bunch of birdies tomorrow. Last week we had a playoff. I think we're headed for another playoff tomorrow.
Maybe. We'll see about that. How about that? You touched on it there a bit, but how would you explain this explosion of low rounds here? We saw 6 golfers card a 63. Again, you're 35 players at 10 under or better. What's the reason for the course yielding so many red numbers?
Well, first and foremost, the quality of the field. Normally this event is played in April after the Masters, and a lot of the big names just take that time off. And frankly, you don't have the depth of field, and that's why we've had 4 first-time winners in a row at the RBC Heritage. So you have really a field full of former PGA Tour winners, major champions, FedEx Cup champions. And these guys are just really, really good, especially this, their second week back. You can see the rust getting off the clubs of Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas and John Rahm played great today. So that's the reason the low scores are happening. And again, conditions being what they are, there's no wind to speak of at all. In April, the wind is just blustery as can be. I've been out there on the point there at 16 and 17, and then turning into 18, where the wind sometimes is like 25, 30 miles per hour, and the flagstick is bending. And if you watch the coverage today, there was just a mild little breeze. And so again, these players, when you give them no wind, no obstacle like that, soft greens, and then the TV showed it today, those greens, those Bermuda greens look flawless. And these guys are absolutely ripping it up. I mean, those soft greens, they can throw right at the stick, be aggressive, and it's one birdie look after another.
A four-way tie for first that includes Webb, Simpson, a part of that group. Of those four golfers, who has the best chance to stay atop the leaderboard?
Well, what a leaderboard, number one. You'd like to see Webb Simpson kind of pull it off because this is such a meaningful event for him. And he's finished in the top 25 6 times at the RBC Heritage and never won. You know, he's finished top 25 7 times in the Sony Open in Hawaii and has never won. So this is meaningful for a lot of reasons for him. Lost in a playoff to Graham McDowell there back in 2013. So I know he wants to win it. Played here a lot as a kid. You know, he went to Wake Forest on an Arnold Palmer scholarship, and Arnie won the inaugural event here back in 1969. It's close to his home. He has friends in the area. This is one that he really, really wants. So I'd like to see Webb Simpson play a good round tomorrow. I thought he played solid in the 3rd round, not spectacular, and the putter didn't cooperate, and we expected that after that incredible day on Friday. But it would be nice to see Webb Simpson finally get into the winner's circle here in an event that is important to him and his family.
Doug, what do you make of the fact that Webb Simpson's playing much better on the front 9 than the back 9? 11 under on the front 9 so far this week, 4 under on the back 9. What do you make of the difference there?
Well, I think the front 9 is easier, and I think you saw that today. The scoring on the front for the entire field was better than the back 9, and it gets difficult after you get past that par 5, the 15th. Number 114, the par 3 is tough, and that is no bargain, and it was playing like 200 yards. And then you have the par 5, which is gettable, and all the par 5s are gettable now under these conditions. But then you turn usually into the wind, but 16, 17, and 18. They're tough holes. They really are. And you have a little more pressure. And Webb, the one thing that he tends to do is get a little conservative. And I know you guys were talking about the chatter between him and his caddy, Paul Tesori. Paul's a veteran guy, and he talks him out of a lot of things. If you were watching the coverage there at 18, I mean, they had 144 hole, 134 to get to the front of the green. Webb, I think, wanted one more club. And Paul said, no, I'm not giving you one more club. So he hit the gap wedge instead of maybe a pitching wedge. Nick Faldo was talking about it. He probably should have hit one more club. So I think that's what happens. I think he tends to get conservative. And let's not forget that second 9, especially on Sunday, all of these players, no matter who they are, they get a little tight. And so we'll see whose nerves hold up the best tomorrow. It's all going to come down to that second 9 tomorrow. I can't wait.
The leading score right now is 15 under. What's the score you think is going to be winning the RBC Heritage, and who's going to be slipping on that plaid jacket on Sunday?
Well, I still think there's a ton of low scores out there. I think that's why it's going to be so exciting. Brian Gay has the scoring record at 20 under par. It happened 11 years ago, and I think that 20 under is probably in danger. I think somebody will get to 20 or maybe 21 under par. And the one guy who I really like, we didn't talk about him much last week until he snuck into the playoff, and that's Daniel Berger. He has 31 consecutive rounds under par in the PGA Tour. I mean, we're talking about crazy stuff here because this was interrupted by a 3-month hiatus. I mean, he was red hot before the break, and now he's picked up right where he left off. And everybody thought he would have some sort of mental letdown, and we could excuse him for that after the emotional win last week. I mean, he was crying as he accepted the winner's trophy there at the end. It was a big deal coming back from a wrist injury, but here he is in position again. The 63 on Saturday was his low round amidst these 31 under par rounds, so he really played well today. He's got all the momentum. He's hitting the ball great with his irons, and his putting is rock solid. I think Daniel Berger could go back to back. And again, I do think with the depth of field, all the people that are packed in there, people will be drafting on each other, taking a NASCAR term, and I think we're headed to a playoff for the second week in a row. That would not surprise me at all.
That would be incredible. Daniel Berger wins again in a playoff. That'd be something, huh? Back-to-back wins and his second straight plaid jacket of the season. Doug Bell joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. Thanks, Doug. And you can watch final round coverage of the RBC Heritage beginning 3 Eastern on Sunday on CBS. Our coverage begins 2:30 Eastern here on HQ. You can also watch on the CBS Sports app or on the CBS Sports on CBS Sports All Access or on CBSSports.com. We'll have live look-ins, full highlights, and reaction right here on CBS Sports HQ.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.